Welcome to the Soul Session with Samira Serafini. You landed here for a reason. You're ready to heal your heart, embody authentic confidence, and soften into your feminine energy. It's time to live in true alignment and manifest a blissful life. Let's begin. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Soul Session. I'm Samira Serafini, an intuitive therapist and creator of the Soul Method, Heal, Align, and Manifest. If you're new here, welcome. I'm genuinely glad you found your way. And if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. Today's episode is one I consider a true foundation. It's one of those sessions that, when it lands, has the potential to reframe everything. Your relationships, your money, your sense of self, your capacity to receive, your ability to act, all of it. Because today we're going into one of the deepest roots in family constellation work. The mother wound and the father wound, and what it truly means to heal them. So this episode is a systemic guide to self-worth. And I want to start with something I've seen again and again in years of sessions. Most people come to therapy talking about their relationship, their work, confidence, money. But when we go deeper, we almost always find the same root, a wound in the relationship with one or both parents. Not because your parents were monsters, not because your childhood was necessarily dramatic, but because you were a child, vulnerable, dependent, information, and something in the field was not quite right. And that something left a mark. Today, I want to help you see that mark, and I want to show you gently, systemically, how to begin to release it. Let me ask you something. Do you find yourself repeating the same patterns in relationships? Attracting partners who are unavailable or critical or emotionally distant? Do you struggle to put yourself first without guilt? To say no without anxiety? Or to ask for what you need without feeling like it is too much? Maybe in your professional life, you have the vision, the talent, the desire, but something holds you back. A glass ceiling you can't quite see or can't quite name it. Or maybe you carry old wounds from childhood that still get activated today. A tone of voice that takes you right back to being 8 years old. A disapproval that feels devastating even when you're 30, 40, 50. Or perhaps, and this is one of the most subtle, you feel a quiet difficulty accepting yourself. A part of you that doesn't fully feel worthy of love, of success, of softness. If any of this is familiar, this episode was made for you. And I want to say something about where this work comes from. Everything I'm sharing today is rooted in family constellation, a field of systemic therapy developed by Betsy Hellinger. What family constellation teaches, and what most healing work misses, is that we are not isolated individuals. We are part of a system, connected to our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, and to everyone around us. And the patterns, the loyalties, the wounds of that system live inside of us, whether we are aware of them or not. I held hundreds of sessions over 7 years, and I can tell you with certainty, when a client brings me relationship struggles, money blocks, self-worth issues, or difficulty expressing their needs, we almost always find the root in one place. The relationship, internal, not just external, with their parents. And today, I want to give you a framework for that root. Not to blame, not to re-wound, but to see. And by seeing it, to begin to be free. So here's our session. We will talk about the mother wound. So how our relationship with our mother shapes our connection to life, abundance, and the feminine. And the father wound. How our relationship with our father shapes our strength, boundaries, and our capacity to move in the world. And taking the parents, the movement that actually heals, what it means, what it requires, and why it's the most liberating thing you can do for yourself. And we will close the session with a somatic systemic meditation, a practice to let this land not just in your mind, but in your body and in your energy field. So let's begin. Before the 3 points, I want to lay a foundation. Our experience with our parents gets encoded in us during childhood. Not remembered with words, encoded in the body, in the nervous system, in our emotional reflexes and our unconscious beliefs. And childhood is a particular kind of vulnerability. You were dependent, you were information, and you didn't have the capacity yet to contextualize what was happening. To say, my mother is exhausted, my father is carrying pain from his own father. You just felt it. And what you felt became part of your blueprint. So the work we are doing today isn't about revisiting pain for the sake of pain. It's about understanding the blueprint so you can consciously choose which part to keep and which part you're ready to release. And one more thing before we begin. Your parents were imperfect human beings in their own process of evolution. What they gave you was what they had the capacity to give. That doesn't excuse harm. It doesn't mean you minimize what was painful, but it opens the door. And that door is what this episode is about. So, in family constellation, the mother represents life. She is the portal through which you arrived on earth. And she is the first source of nourishment, warmth, and safety. Through our mother, we receive life. And when that flow is interrupted, when the mother was not available, not present, not able to give what was needed, something in us contracts. Not consciously, the child doesn't decide to close. The movement towards the the mother just stops. We call this an interrupted reach, a movement of the soul toward life that didn't complete. And that interruption echoes. It echoes in your relationship with abundance because the mother is the original source of receiving. If receiving from her felt unsafe or impossible, receiving in general, love, money, support, care, may feel the same way. It echoes in your feminine energy, so your capacity to be soft, nourished, held. Because if your mother couldn't model that, you may have learned to need nothing, to be strong always, to survive rather than receive. It echoes in your relationship with the word itself, a sense of not quite belonging here, a quiet undercurrent of, is there a place for me? And many times it echoes in how you look for from others what you couldn't get from her. So it may mean you seek validation from your boss that never quite satisfy. You use money as a security she couldn't give you. You ask your partner to give you the attention you needed as a child, and you wonder why it never feels like enough. And none of this is your fault. It's like the child doing what children do, looking for what was missing. But the healing is in understanding where it comes from and choosing as an adult to give yourself what you once needed to receive. Because the flow of life came through her, and when you make peace with that, even imperfectly, even in layers, something opens. And I want to share something a client once told me. She was in her mid-30s, accomplished, intelligent, doing all the right things. But every time she was close to something real, a relationship that was actually going well, a business opportunity that felt aligned, she would find a way to step back. In a session, she described it as, I get close to the door and then I close the door myself. And when we went into the field together, what emerged was her relationship with her mother. So her mother had been physically present during her childhood, but emotionally unavailable. Somewhere behind glasses, always slightly out of reach. So my client had made an unconscious decision very early. Don't reach too far for good things. Because when you reach and nothing comes back, it hurts more than never reaching at all. So that was a reflection of a pattern, of a dynamic from her childhood. The interrupted reach had become her protection. And the beautiful thing is that when we did the work, when she turned toward her mother in her heart and said for the first time, I take you as you are, she cried. Not from the pain, but from the relief. Because she realized she no longer had to protect herself from receiving. And 3 months later, she emailed me saying she was in a relationship. The door, she was finally walking through it. And that's what this work does. Not by changing the past, by changing the place the past occupies in your heart. Now let's talk about the father wound. The father represents the world. Through our mother, we receive life. Through our father, we meet the world. The father is the one who shows you, here is how you move. Here's how you act. Here's what you're capable of. The masculine, the father, represents structure, law, limits. The force that says you can go this far and no further. And also, you can do this. You are strong enough. When the relationship with the father is wounded through absence, harshness, unavailability, or anything in between, the world can begin to feel like an unsafe place. A place where you must be careful, where your strength isn't trustworthy, where acting fully, claiming your space and saying no feels dangerous. So an interrupted reach toward the father shows up differently than the mother wound. It often looks like difficulty taking action when you know what you need to do, planning, preparing, organizing, but not moving actually, or difficulty with limits, saying yes when every part of you means no, tolerating what shouldn't be tolerated, because limits require a kind of inner strength, and that strength was modeled by the father. Or a tendency to struggle with figures of authority, to feel either invisible or combative in professional spaces, because somewhere inside, the original authority figure didn't feel quite safe. And here's something important, regardless of your gender. The masculine energy is the energy of movement, of action, of structure, of healthy assertion. If you have a wound in the relationship with your father, you may be carrying an interrupted connection to your own masculine energy. The part of you that acts, that stands firm, that says, this is mine. And when you heal this, not by forcing it, but by making peace with your father in your heart, that energy begins to return and flow. Not as hardness, as a strength, the kind that lets you move through the world with clarity and groundedness. Now we arrive at the third point. And this one is the turning point. Not intellectually understanding our parents, not forgiving them as a performance of something you do for them, taking them. What does that mean? It means making a movement in your soul that says, you are my parents. I came through you. And I receive what you gave, even what was imperfect, even what was painful. because it made me, and I choose to be here. I want to say something about the DNA because this is one of the most grounding things I share in sessions, and it almost always stops people. You are 50% your mother and 50% your father at the cellular level. This is not metaphor. This is biology. So when you reject your mother in your heart, when you refuse to take her to include her, you are rejecting 50% of yourself. And when you reject your father, another 50. And this is why we can feel so fragmented, so at war with ourselves. Because the rejection of a parent is always also a self-rejection. And I want to be very clear about something here. Taking our parents does not mean agreeing with what they did. It does not mean tolerating ongoing harm or returning to unsafe situations or pretending the pain didn't happen. It means making peace with reality, with what is, with what was, with the fact that they are your parents and that cannot change, with the fact that what happened and it shaped you. And choosing as an adult to take that history and build something from it, rather than remain in the position of a child who is still wanting for the parents to be different. And choosing as an adult to take that history and build something from it, rather than remain in the position of the child who is still waiting for the parents to be different. Healing begins when we stop asking our parents to be different and start taking the life they gave us. And I want to ask you something gently. What part of you is still waiting for them to change? What are you still holding back from your own life until they become who you needed them to be? And that question is not an accusation. It's an invitation to see the position you might still be in. And ask yourself, is it time to move? When you take your parents, you step into your adult self. And if you listen to our last episode about money, you remember money comes to the adult. And so does love. And so does everything you've been waiting for. Because the child waits, the child demands, the child hopes things will be different. The adult receives what is and moves forward. And there is something else that happens when you take your parents. You take their strength, you take their resilience, you take the qualities that are in your DNA, in both of them, that you may be unconsciously refusing along with the pain. When your inner mother is integrated, you feel held by life, by the feminine, by the flow of receiving. And when your inner father is integrated, you feel capable of moving through the world, of acting, of standing firm and setting boundaries. And these are not things you go looking for in a partner. They are things you carry because they were given to you at the moment of conception. You just have to choose to take them. And I want to say something honest. This work, the mother wound, the father wound, taking the parents, it happens in layers. You may listen to this episode and feel a shift, and that shift is real, and there will be more. There always is, because these wounds go deep. They were formed in your most vulnerable years, and they deserve more than a single podcast episode. If you feel the call to go deeper, if something in today's session touched a layer that you know needs more than understanding, I want to invite you into the soul session. One-on-one, just us, where we can look at your specific field, your mother wound, your father wound, and do the work that actually move things systemically, somatically, energetically, at your pace, with compassion, respecting exactly where you are. You can check the link in the description. If you feel the yes, I'm here for you. So we've done a lot of work today, a lot of seeing, a lot of understanding. Now, let's let it land, not in the mind, in the body, in the energy field. I want to guide you through a brief systemic meditation. And this is a practice I use in the sessions, and it's one of the most moving things I know. So I want you to find a comfortable position. You can sit or stand. Standing is beautiful for this if you are able to. Close your eyes and take a slow breath in. Find your center and find your inner adult. Now, with your inner eye, imagine your mother is standing behind your left shoulder. She's there behind you. You don't have to face her yet, just feel her presence. She's the one through whom your life came. Now imagine your father behind your right shoulder. He is there too, the one through whom you met the world. Both of them behind you, where parents belong, supporting, not directing, not demanding. Now slowly visualize you turning toward them. If you are standing, you can actually move your body in that direction. And in your imagination and in your heart, you look at them. And you say, silently or out loud, I surrender. I say yes to all that was. I say yes to you as you are. Feel what arises. Don't push anything away. Let whatever wants to come, come. Now slowly turn back to face forward. Physically, if you are standing, or in your visualization. And take a step, a real step if you can, a physical step forward, and say silently or out loud, now I choose life. Take another step. Now I choose life. Let your body guide you towards life, taking steps ahead. So you feel your feet on the ground and you feel the space in front of you, open, available, yours. You just did something real, something your field integrated. Take a deep breath, and when you're ready, come back. Feel the strength, the presence, the openness in your field. Yes. If you want to continue this kind of embodied inner work, practice that help you integrate what you know in your body, not just in your mind, the Becoming You Activation Workbook is for you. It's 5 days of practical exercises and it is free. You can download in the show notes. Now let's bring this home. 3 points, 3 roots, and 3 openings. The mother wound. Through our mother, we receive life. When that flow is interrupted, we may struggle to receive in general. Belonging, softness, abundance. We search for what was missing in places that can never quite feel it. And the healing is returning to the flow, making peace with her in your heart so that life can begin to move through you again. The father wound. Through our father, we meet the world. And when that connection is wounded, we may lose access to our own strength. So our capacity to move through difficulty, to set limits, to take aligned action. And the healing is integrating that inner father, not depending on the external man to have been different, but finding in yourself the strength that was always yours. And taking the parents, you are 50% your mother and 50% your father. And when you reject any or both of them, you reject yourself. And taking them doesn't mean agreeing with everything. It means making peace with the reality, releasing the position of the child who's still waiting, and stepping into the adult who receives and moves forward. So here's the before and after. Before, you were carrying old wounds without knowing it, repeating patterns, searching for what was missing, feeling torn, at war with parts of yourself. without knowing those parts carry the faces of your parents. And after, now you see the root. You understand what the patterns were trying to protect, and you have a moment, a direction for healing. So, your implementation this week, think of one quality in your mother, one thing she gave you, even if it came wrapped up in difficulty. And can you take it? And then think of one quality in your father. And can you take that too? And this is the beginning of the movement, not a grand gesture, just a yes, a small, quiet yes. And if it feels hard, that's okay. This is a layered work, and you don't have to do it all today. You can just open the door and begin. One last thing. If today opens something that feels too big to hold alone, if the wounds we talked about are the ones you've been circling for a long time, there is a space for that. In the Dessauge session, we go into your field, your lineage, with the depth, the care, and the precision these works deserve. The application is in the show notes. I'm here if you feel ready to the call. And let's stay connected. You can download the Becoming You workbook for free in the show notes. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter with practices and reflections straight to your inbox. And please share this episode if it touched you. Someone in your life may need to hear this today too. And a review on the podcast means everything. It helps more women find their way here. You find all links in the description. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. Every time you do this work, every time you choose to look at the root instead of just the symptom, you're not only healing yourself, you are changing what gets passed forward. A woman who changes her life is healing her whole lineage. So thank you for being here today. I see you in the next session. Sending you so much love. If you made it to the end of this episode, it means you're truly committed to healing your heart and living in true alignment. I see you, and I'm so proud of you. Make sure to subscribe to the Soul Session so you never miss our weekly time together. And if you enjoy what you heard, please leave a review and share your biggest takeaway. I'd love to hear from you. For exclusive content straight to your inbox, subscribe to my weekly newsletter. And if you're ready to quantum leap into your next level, book a one-on-one session with me. You'll find all links in the description. Thank you for being here. Sending you so much love. Until next time.